Hey friends, Jen here, and today we're doing a beachside tiny home. Let's get into it. Jumping right into this speed build, I don't know why, but I felt very inspired to do a beachy sort of tiny house. I checked, it does technically count as a tiny house, but it's like the third level tiny house, so it's like the largest one because it's apparently 80 tiles altogether, but it still counts if you have the tiny living pack. You will still get the tier 3 benefits from it. But anyways, I saw this picture somewhere. I don't remember where, but I saw it, and I think I've seen a few other people do variations on this exact one before, but I can't remember for sure. But I saw this picture of a tiny home, and I didn't really love the inside of it. And of course, with the limitations of The Sims 4, you can't really do tiny homes the way they're done in real life in The Sims. But I loved the outside of this tiny house. So I took the outside and I copied it as best as I could given my skills. And I used that as the basis. And then I just did the inside my own way, obviously. So I wanted a very beachy sort of house, I guess. It's what I was feeling at the time, and honestly, I really have no idea where the inspiration came from. I initially put it here in Newcrest, and I do most of the outside here in Newcrest. Never a dull moment in my house. My voiceover was just interrupted by a dog fight because my chihuahua is a jerk and she's jealous of anything that gets near me. I love dogs, but sometimes I also kind of hate dogs. But I really truly love them. I do. Chihuahuas are not for the faint of heart. You have to be very kind and gentle and loving towards them while also being very strict and keeping their aggressive tendencies under control, especially if you have multiple dogs in a house. It's practically a full-time job. I love her though. She's my baby, and I could never trade her for anything in the world, but sometimes it does get a little obnoxious and tiring. Anyways, back to the speed build, if we can. I totally lost my train of thought. So, anyways, the idea is a tiny house where they have some comforts and things because eventually this does go into another world, much like Newcrest, where there are, long, harsh winters. So there will be some amenities within the house. But I wanted to make a lot of outdoor seating, a lot of comfortable spaces to be outdoors as well as a cooking spot and all that, so that they could, during nicer weather times, spend as much time outdoors as possible. I feel like that's kind of the thing with tiny homes is they generally appeal to people who prefer spending more time outside than inside. Maybe that's just me. Let me know down in the comments what you think and if you think tiny homes are really aimed at people who prefer to spend more time outdoors than indoors. Anyways, I tried to go for a sort of beachy seaside theme with it, even though I originally put it in Newcrest. So lots of pastel colors, lots of colors, but a foundation of like neutral sort of tan colors and white. But pops of color here and there, but like more pastel-y type, as you can see from the walls in the bedroom and the bathroom. That's kind of the feel that I was trying to go for on this one. That light sort of baby blue and pale sort of minty green. And here is where I'm like, wait, I know a lot that this would look so good on. And I moved it to Brindleton Bay. That one that's right like next to the beach. There's already a house there. I demolished the house and put it there. You'll see in the walkthrough exactly where it's located at, but it's right down by that beach and dock area. Um, so I thought it fit there better than anywhere else. It just felt right there. You know what I mean? And then, of course, before I forget, I did move it pretty much to the front. I think it's the front, like all the way to the side and front corner of the lot, so that there was plenty of yard space sort of in front of the house, but on the side of the lot, if that makes sense. And as you can see, I tried to very much stick with those light white and pastel colors as much as I could. Specifically, a lot of blues, but a little bit of greens here and there as well. And just kind of give it a sort of cozy feel without overly cluttering this part of the house too much, because they do need to be able to walk around somewhere. Even if they can get by on a half of a tile, I find that kitchens can be really hard, and if you don't leave enough space around ovens and fridges, your Sims tend to throw tantrums. So I like to leave lots of space around that. It is a little bit weird having the living room technically be between the kitchen and the dining room. I know, but the setup of the house did not make it easy to have a little like living room seating area with a TV and still keep the dining space next to the kitchen. And it's also a little weird that there's a dining space right inside the house and right outside the house on either side of the windows there on that front porch. But all in all, I do think the layout turned out fine given the space that we had to work with here. I really kind of like this tiny house, and I'm considering adding it into the save file on this lot in Brindleton Bay. I don't add every house build or community build that I make into the potential save file. I've only been grabbing the ones that I really, really like, and I really like this one. So I'm thinking about adding it to the potential save file, and I call it the potential save file because I don't actually know if I'm gonna truly do an actual save file. I'm just collecting all of my favorite builds that I've made and putting them together in one save. And if it becomes an entire save file, then great. If not, that's fine too. But that's why I always call it the potential save file. Um, I tried to add a lot of cozy clutter to this house and make it look as full as possible. Given that it's a tiny house, you're going to have a lot more clutter than you would in a regular sized house. And so I tried to convey that feeling of needing to use every nook and cranny to store stuff in. But I also left some slots on the tables, and like the TV stand, the end tables in here, and the desk, and then I left the two shelves in the bathroom empty because in my mind these are a couple of adventurous Sims who are like traveling all the worlds and collecting things from Mount Komorebi and digging stuff up on the beach in Sulani, and like that's their thing. And so they're collecting all this stuff, and they still need some places to put this stuff. And so I did leave some blank spots here and there for your Sims to put items that they have collected, while, as you can see, making it look like a very lived in and used house with lots of storage everywhere. So I think of all the tiny homes I've ever done, I think this is probably the one that turned out the best. I've done a few tiny homes before, mostly trying to like emulate some other type of house but on a smaller scale, or various different things. You can go through my builds and see them, and I explain them in those videos, but I've never, I don't think, and I could be wrong because I've done a lot of builds and stuff now, so maybe I'm just not remembering, but I don't think I've ever done a tiny house just as a tiny house, like for the sake of just having a very small house. I don't know how to explain it, but this is a house in and of itself. Like, I'm not making a tiny house version of some other game house that I really enjoyed or something along those lines, which I've done a lot in the past. I also added a large, for a tiny house lot, gardening area, because again, I figured they're gonna want to spend a lot of time outside doing stuff, outside adventure type sims. Eventually, here I also add a couple of bikes to the side of the house, and then I should be adding the fire pit area right quick here down in the front of the lot, where your Sims can hang out at night overlooking the beach and the, I don't know, what would you call it, like the docks or whatever, where the ships come in, the boats, the sailboats and stuff come in. And I thought it was perfect for that, to have a little fire pit area and s'mores area. I put a bunch of chairs around it so they can invite their sim friends over, and then there's a couple of tables with s'mores stuff on it. I really hated that path, and no matter what I did, I could not get it to look good. I think in the end it's okay, but it's not perfect. It's not what I wanted it to look like. But I really dislike doing paths. Anyways, I used the little camper set to put some s'mores stuff out there, and then I just added some yard lights. So let's get into the walkthrough now, shall we? Coming from the sort of designated front of the lot, you can see that the house, while it doesn't face the ocean specifically, it is in a position where it partially faces the ocean and partially faces the beach, which you'll see a little bit better a little bit later. And then here's the side of the house where the bikes are at. And we sweep over the front porch here so you can see that there's a little dining spot, a little cooking spot. I did use the really expensive grill, so it had like a little mini fridge and everything with it, and then there was a like almost outdoor living spot on the end, and then here's the inside great room, if you will. And then the little bathroom, nothing too fancy, just a basic bathroom for your Sims to use. And then we have the bedroom slash office slash book storage room. Very cozy and pale green, very soothing colors. And yeah, it's really truly is a tiny home, even though it's the third tier tiny home. It's pretty small, and I think I did a good job at packing a lot of stuff in there. This is where you can see the view better. Look at that view. That is an absolutely fantastic view to have from this lot. That's why I faced this house the way I did. And I love this little fire pit area here, sort of as you go down towards the beach there, and your Sims can sit and enjoy. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!